Hello everyone and welcome to Stefan's podcast, the podcast for everything Japanese news and what's going on in my little island. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. We have got some great Japanese news stories for you, so let's jump straight into them. The first news story is a really sad one and a story that has been going on for over a year in Japan. A husband has been on the search for his wife with dementia who disappeared last year. She disappeared, I believe it was, August 8th last year. She woke up one morning and just walked out the house and her husband couldn't find her, even though he has searched tirelessly for 1 year. The police have been involved trying to find her, and still no one has found her. The really sad thing about this story is the type of dementia that she has makes her sort of non-verbal, so she's almost forgotten words, she can be confused, and no one has found her since. In the news story for this, though, you would think that the company would have put the picture of her in it, but for some reason they didn't. I am going to find, here's the other one. If you go to, I've got two links on this story. I've got what's the one I was looking at? I have the Japan Today one, and I also have a Kyoto News. The Kyoto News actually has the picture of the wife in it, so go and click on that one if you want to see what she looks like. I'm going to put a picture of her here just in case, I don't know, someone can luckily find her, or this jogs some memory. You might have seen someone in the last couple of years, you were potting around town and you saw someone like this. But if you do, contact the police, because she has been missing for an entire year, which is absolutely crazy. It's a really sad story about dementia, and that there are some lessons learned with this. If you have someone with dementia, you've got to put tags on them, you've got to put bracelets on them, you've got to do something, because if you lose them, it is a horrible story. I was actually talking to someone about this and how if I get old, I need to get like a tattoo with my wife's name on it, wife's name, address, something like that. Something you can't lose. That's very convenient, isn't it? A nice little tattoo with your name and address on it. To be honest, I could do that now because I forget my Japanese address as it is, because it's in kanji, and kanji is not fun to read. It certainly is not. Next news story for you, coming up for you, is, this was a fun one. This was a really weird story, and the sleeping thing for this is crazy. So the news story is about Japanese elementary schools which are installing standing sleeping pods for students to nap in. And I have to say, these things look just incredibly stupid. Why don't they just don't put them up in a bed? So when I teach here, if I'm honest, I haven't seen too many elementary school students falling asleep in class. It's normally the junior high school ones. And there have been a couple in class where I think, you know what, it's not even worth you being here. You definitely should just go off to the nurse's room, go and have a sleep for an hour, and then come back. But these standing sleeping pods, they just look ridiculous. They don't look comfy. I mean, how anyone is expected to get some sleep in them, I don't know. I couldn't get a sleep in them if that was me. I need to be laying down. I even struggle to sleep like in a chair. In planes, I find it really hard to sleep. So, God, I suppose if you're really exhausted, you could sleep in these, but these just look so uncomfortable. I mean, they're the same size as like one of those portable toilets that you get. The seat's really weird. I'm not a fan. That doesn't look fun. And I can tell you this now, I would never see these in my elementary schools, ever. I am amazed some people are even trialing these, so we'll see. In the junior high schools, I don't know if I'd be opposed to these. I've never taught in a high school here. I wonder what their students are like. They're probably even worse than my junior high school students for falling asleep. But who knows? They might be good, but I think they're stupid. I really do. A standing sleeping pod is not good for anyone. Just please, why not just put some actual beds in a school and let people have a little nap every now and again? Because trust me, I've seen some kids come in and they look like they are either at death's door or they haven't slept all night, which happens to the best of us. Hence these eyes, because I am very tired as well. Next news story for you is bears. Oh, we haven't done a nice bear attack one in a long time. Bear attacks are rising in Japan. This story has come up multiple times throughout the year. Normally at the beginning of the year, we had quite a lot of these stories. I think it was around April time. There seemed to be a slew of bear attacks, but they're looking at why bear attacks have risen in the last few years. Some of it is due to the rules since the 80s have changed on holding weapons, what to do with weapons, and how easy it is for people to buy weapons in the past. But apparently, one of the reasons is that the bear hunting industry actually used to be particularly profitable, and there used to be full-time hunters who could just live off hunting bears because they're so profitable. And now it's a lot more difficult, and there are very, very few actual professional hunters. And they even have a story here of a old professional hunter explaining what it was like for him back in the past and how it's completely changed. I thought this was interesting. What do you think? Would you ever go hunting in Japan? I have to say, not on my top things to do here, but maybe some people would like to go hunt a bear. Some of these are particularly dangerous as well, especially if they're starting to get into towns. There was recently a bear which came into a supermarket, I believe, and it attacked someone, and the bear actually got out of the supermarket and then completely disappeared. Unfortunately, I've lost the link to the article. Where has it gone? But anyway, there's a bear in Akita which went into a supermarket, apparently attacked one of the staff. It had a nice little feast on the meat section. You better believe I would also have a nice little feast on the meat section if I was a bear, especially as your days are numbered, because the bear was killed after 2 days of this happening. So, yeah, fill your boots if you're a bear. I certainly would. Next news story for you is... It wouldn't be a Japan episode without someone in Japan doing something incredibly stupid, and this is one of them. In fact, this isn't just one person, this is several cases, according to the article. The Japan News says that more electric kick scooters are seen driving on Metropolitan Expressway's, road operator tells. Now, this is essentially like driving a lime scooter or an electric scooter, not like a moped one, an actual push with your leg scooter that only goes, 20-30 kilometers? They're not very fast, are they? Onto a motorway or freeway. This is just incredibly stupid. How anyone could be this stupid to do it, I don't know. They were probably trying to take some sort of shortcut, but if you're in Japan, absolutely do not ride one of these scooters onto the highway. I also believe as well, you've got to be careful in Japan of renting these. You are meant to have a driving license renting them. So be very, very careful renting these. You do not want to fall on the wrong side of the Japanese law, because if you do, that is not fun. No one wants to be in prison in Japan. They want to be outside enjoying the fun things, because Japanese prison, oh baby, that is not fun. It's certainly not. Next news story for you, and this news story is one I can tell you for a fact is definitely true, because this year was just unbelievable. Japan experiences warmest autumn on record, and I can tell you this now. The summer here was brutal, and the September was certainly really, really hot in Japan, and it did stay really nice throughout the year, and I was beginning to wonder, when is winter coming? And it's only really been the last couple of weeks, where I've actually had to wear jumpers to school and all sorts of things. In fact, I had to bring out my big black coat the other day and wear it inside the classroom. Japanese classrooms, oh baby, people do not tell you that when you when you start applying that you're going to be wearing coats in the classroom, because I probably still would have applied, but it's a phenomenon which I think is hilarious. And when I go back to the UK or somewhere else and maybe I teach there, not having to wear a coat in the classroom, oh, that's going to be a funny thing. It really, really is. But there are some advantages to having your coat in the classroom. I have many pockets to put in things. I'm always like moving chalk around, putting it in my pocket, moving stuff around. It's very, very fun. I like it. Sometimes the coat in the classroom is cool. Sometimes not so fun. And it's annoying getting chalk all over your favourite jacket or coat. It really is. But there we go. The next news story for you is a Japan story which I do not understand at all why they're doing this. Someone please explain to me the logic behind this. Shibuya's, I always say this wrong, Shibuya's Hachiko statue will be covered up for the New Year's Eve pedestrian barricades. They're going to be installed on the 31st of December, and they're going to be removed on the 1st of January. And looking at these barriers, they're pretty big. They are going to cost some money to put up. And I wonder, what is the point of this? The article says the reason that they're doing this is that they don't want people to meet up in Shibuya, and the Hachiko statue is a famous place for people to meet up. And by covering it up, people won't meet there, won't hang out there, and that will be the end of that. But it's a bit like, I think, the airport problem, right? You know how when you go to an airport and there's security, and there's always a huge line for security, and they're like, okay, well, let's move the security back. You keep moving the barriers farther and farther back, and people just still get stuck on the barriers. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I will say, if you are in Japan for New Year's, my actual recommendation for New Year's, I had a fantastic New Year's last year, is stay out of the main places. Anywhere busy, anywhere touristy, don't go to them. Try and find like a little resident town where people actually live, and go and find a fun bar there. Anywhere that's sort of on the outskirts of Tokyo, not in like Shinjuku, Shibuya, I can't even speak today, and Roppongi, anywhere like that. Go find somewhere fun, somewhere cool, and just sit in a bar and just watch people go around. Go and get some yakiniku, because that is an absolutely fantastic way to spend the new year doing that. I had Korean barbecue last year, and it was really, really fun. I will say we did end up going to one bar on New Year's Eve, which was like just closing, and we had one drink in there, and it was the most depressing bar in the world. But then after that, we went to a fantastic bar, and it was a lot of fun. New Year's Eve in Japan is a lot more fun than I think in London, although the pubs in London are pretty good. But yeah, it's an interesting experience. You should go out, find new places. Don't go to Shibuya, don't go to Shinjuku. Find somewhere fun, new. Challenge yourself. Go down to a random street, meet someone. Do something crazy. Next news story for you in Japan is the paper straw argument, which has been going on for 5 whopping years here in Japan. So Starbucks, get me a chocolate matcha latte. I don't drink Starbucks because I like tea, and getting tea in Starbucks is kind of, tea's the same everywhere. It's not like getting coffee, I don't think. But anyway, Starbucks in Japan is calling it quits with paper straws. It's saying after roughly 5 years, people have been complaining too much, and they are going back to finding alternatives. They are apparently, what I was surprised with, they're going back to what they call the oil-produced straws. But I feel like there are better alternatives out there, especially if you're in you're in the restaurant. What's wrong with a metal straw? Why can't they wash it out? You wash a cup out. I don't see the point out of that. Or a glass straw, does that work? Is because people are worried about it breaking, but a actual physical glass will break. Someone explain to me. There are better options than using a plastic straw if you're sitting in the restaurant. If you're taking it away, that's all you can do. I personally hate the paper straws. I hate how they turn to mush, and there's got to be some better solutions out there than using the oil ones. I'm sure I had a really interesting straw recently made out of some sea material, like seaweed or something, and that worked perfectly well. So there should be options out there, especially as I believe the CEO for Starbucks made an absolute fortune on his bonus. So even if you cut that down and put that into straws, oh baby, the company's going to be rocking and rolling. Next news story for you is, yes, right, another nuclear reactor has been restarted in Matsume for the first time since 2012. In around the 2011 to 2012, there of course was the Fukushima disaster, and after that a lot of nuclear power plants closed in Japan. They are now being reopened, and I'm just reading through some of the comments on this article, and they're saying about how someone would wish that Japan would update their nuclear reactors because they are now 10 years, they're more 12 years out of date. So 10, 12 years is a long, long time. It certainly is, especially when it comes to anything technical. So it would have been nice if they were updated before it got switched on. But hey ho, maybe these are the future. It's better than oil. I am not convinced with nuclear, especially with Japan being so earthquake proof. I know that they've put in so many safety things, but I must be an old-fashioned person because nuclear terrifies me. It really, really does. Even though people say it's meant to be one of the cleanest and one of the best ones, but there's been too many disasters with it. Fukushima, the one in Ukraine, Russia, Chernobyl. That's one too many for me too. That's too many. Next interesting news story that I found going on is that there are over 10,000 aging bridges that are long overdue for repair work all over Japan. According to the figure, about 70% of the about 60,000 local bridges are described as in a condition that needs repair within 5 years during inspections. And this is just a lot of money that you need to fix a bridges. But the problem that they're having with fixing all these different bridges over Japan, 60,000 of them, is that they don't have what they call enough civil engineers. I think pretty sure it was civil engineers. They require people to build it, and of course most kids now don't go into a building trade. They will go into computers, they go into office work, and there's not enough tradesmen around. So this is a big problem. Honestly, if you're thinking about graduating from school, high school, go look at getting into a trade, because there's a shortage coming for these, and the more shortage, supply and demand, you hopefully get paid more. Quids in, you're going to make some absolute money. Of course, it is a lot of hard work, but I believe you can do it, and hopefully you'll have a fantastic career out of it where you can make all sorts of fun little bridges. That would be awesome. Next news story for you is about the J League, and Vissel Kobe retained the J League title with a victory over Belmare, which was pretty good. 3-0 little win for a final like that. That's really good. And that means that they are crowned the double. They've done the double, which is pretty cool. In the UK, the Premier League is ticking on. It's been an interesting week. It certainly has. I watched a couple of highlights of that and some interesting results. Really nice when the underdogs defeat the big weights, heavyweights every now and again. In fact, if I just looked at the result, I was really annoyed that the Watford game was postponed due to the weather that was going on in the UK, but that is that. But I was surprised Chelsea have managed to crawl their way back up to second in the table. I did not think that they were going to make top 4 this season, but they are playing fantastically well. Man City are struggling as they have been for the last little bits, and Nottingham Forest, man, they might get Champions League football, which would be freaking cool. I was looking at just the other table as well. When you look at, so at the moment, 4th spot is 27 points. So you look at people who are only 4 or 5 points away from that. You've got Aston Villa, Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford, Fulham. All of those could get Champions League football, which would be amazing. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine Bournemouth in the Champions League? Oh my God, what an absolutely crazy thing that would be. That's football for you. I also saw, for people following the Wrexham thing, they are currently in 3rd, pushing for 2nd position. So pretty sure it's 3rd, wasn't it? What did they get? Did they get into 2nd? Did they get into 2nd place? I can't remember. Let's have a look. I've completely forgotten about what I looked at today. Yeah, no, they're in 2nd, but they've got a couple of matches that have played before the other teams. Birmingham has 2 games to play, and they are on 39 points. Birmingham has 17 matches played, and Wrexham has 19. So Birmingham still have 2 more to play, and they are on 39 points, whereas Wrexham is on 49. So all they need to do is get a single win out of those 2 games, and they will leapfrog them, and Wrexham will be in the playoffs. But I don't think Wrexham will perform particularly well once they move up into the Championship. They are going to struggle, because then they're on sort of the same money footing as some of the Championship teams, especially my team, Watford. So be interesting to see how they do, if they can keep this going up, because there's a big jump between League One and Championship football. That's when you're starting to get the serious old teams that are in the Premier League. I was looking at the table for the Championship. I was trying to work out how many teams haven't been in the Premier League, and I think that there's only 3 or 4 of them. As far as I can tell, if I go back to the Championship, let's have a look. As far as I can tell, this is just me trying to remember who's been inside of the Premier League. Sheffield United, they have been in the Premier League. Leeds United, they have been. Burnley has been. Sunderland has been. Middlesbrough has been. Blackburn has. Watford has. West Brom has. Sheffield Wednesday. Norwich. Millwall have. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Millwall have. Bristol City have not, as far as I'm aware. Swansea City have. Coventry City, I'm not sure if they were in the Premier League or not. If they were right at the start of it. Stoke City have, Derby have, Preston North have, Luton have, Oxford I don't think have, Queen's Park Rangers have, Cardiff City I'm pretty sure have, Plymouth Argyle, I don't think have. Portsmouth and Hull City. So there's like 3 or 4 teams that haven't been in the Premier League in the last 10, 15 years. So pretty cool. That's a big challenge for Wrexham to get over that. It certainly is. Let's look at the next news story for you. Japan's food makers eyeing what they call fermentation tourism. So a load of places that are manufacturing miso paste and soy sauce are considering opening their doors to tourists to come and have a look around the factory, obviously buy samples, go have a look around what it's like, how the process works. They do have a really cool picture of what's he standing in front of? He's standing in front of a miso production factory in Okazawa, and the picture just looks absolutely amazing of the stuff that they're growing in there. And they've got these giant wooden buckets, a load of stones on the back, and it's something that I, like a nerd, would love to walk around and see how they make it. I don't know how expensive this would be. I'm not a huge fan of miso paste, but I think it is interesting nonetheless. And if I think it's interesting, then it's probably interesting to other tourists, so I hope they come. There are some comments saying on here, I think that they're overestimating the popularity of these dishes or overestimating how much people actually want to see this, but I think they're underestimating it or perfectly accurately estimating it, because I want to go and have a look at it. It looks very fun. Would you go and walk around a soy sauce, what do you call it, factory? I mean, these are wooden barrels that they're growing in. A fermentation lot? A museum? I guess maybe museum would be, but it's like a brewery? I don't know. What would you call this? Brewery, factory? Would you go around go and have a look around this miso production factory and see if it's fun for yourself? I think I certainly would. The last news story for you, because I am about to pass out because I'm so tired. The Osaka hotel magnet. Many hotels are trying to open in Osaka at the moment because they have approved casinos in there. They've got a giant World Expo coming up in, I think it's 2020, in next year. So there are a lot of hotels that are trying to be built in the next year because of this. And they're saying that Osaka is having a little bit of a boom at the moment. And every man and their dog is trying to open a hotel in Osaka. I have to say, I've been to Osaka once. I went on January 1st last year, and the city, outside of the city, again, I always say it, outside of the city, great, fantastic. The actual centre of the city was so full of tourists, I wanted to die. They were everywhere, I couldn't move. It's that street where the Don Quixote is and the river. If you've seen pictures of Osaka, it's probably that street. And there was just too many people in there and I couldn't stand it. And I am very hesitant to go back. But every time I hear a story about Osaka, it's that people said that they have a great time and they really, really enjoyed it. The also thing, January is coming up. January 1st in Japan, and even December 31st can be a bit mixed for who is open. A lot of restaurants aren't open that day, or they are on limited hours. So if you're traveling around the new year, make sure you try and find somewhere that you can eat, especially January 1st. I remember being particularly hard to get something to eat in the evening. In Osaka, there was only like 1 or 2 restaurants open. Bearing in mind, we were a little bit late. I think it was getting around 9, 10 o'clock. But just keep an eye out for that. You don't want to go hungry. You certainly do not. And that is the end of our podcast for you today. I hope you have had an absolutely fantastic week. I will try and be back again for next week's episode of the podcast. I apologise for missing a few weeks and being inconsistent with this. I've been inconsistent with the shorts as well. I've been just super busy with a lot of things going on right now. So hopefully we can get back to true form in the next couple of days. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and be sure to subscribe. Goodbye.